Hello, I'm Nancy Shaw with Healthy Living. Today our guest is Irene McCormick. Irene, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the suspension classes held here at Ames Parks Recreation and find out a little bit more about them and the benefits of doing suspension training.
Okay.
So anyhow, this is our TRX suspension trainer.
Yes, this is.
We have a lot of classes that are very popular here as well as throughout the country. Can you tell me a little bit about the benefits of suspension training?
Well, one of the things that is really wonderful about suspension training is right now the buzzword in the industry is functional fitness. Everybody wants to do functional training because they want to do movement patterns that are going to actually help them in their daily life.
Right.
You know, as opposed to, practice for a football season or something. Most people don't do that anymore once they get out of high school.
Right.
So the suspension trainer is really fantastic because it takes you through several ranges of motion, and we tend to call that planar training, and that means that you'll move in what's called the sagittal plane. That's this motion right here, which is what we do when we walk and move forward anytime. And then you have movement that happens in this plane called the frontal plane, and then you also have twisting motions that happen in what's called the transverse plane.
Right.
And the suspension trainer will allow for you to train in all those planes of motion. And what that means is that you're doing functional training. And that's really what people want, in addition to the aesthetic changes, etc. So your body is suspended. Either your feet or your hands are connected to the suspension trainer, either by the handles or by the foot cradles. And the other part of your body, either your feet or your hands, depending on which exercise you're doing, is in contact with the floor.
Okay.
And what that means is that you're doing what's called closed chain training or closed chain exercise, which again is another hallmark of functional training. So if you want to exercise that's going to really enhance your daily living and your activities of daily living, suspension training is really beneficial for that.
Who's appropriate to do suspension training? Can beginners do it, or is it something that the more advanced exerciser?
Both.
Okay.
All.
I'm
I'm not inclined to say that any one exercise modality is right for everybody.
Right.
Because it just is not true. But I have to say that suspension training is probably one of the closest things you can get to having it be appropriate for almost every population. The movement patterns are scalable. That means that you could do an exercise and I could set it up in such a way that you could perform it to the best of your ability and get a lot of benefit from it. And I can have another person right next to you doing the same exact exercise, and I can give him or her different cues so that they can make the exercise more appropriate for their body, which may be a more advanced move. But the point is, I've got two people working in a 30-second interval doing the same similar exercise with respect to the movement pattern, but meeting their own needs based on their fitness level. So it's very, very scalable, which is a fantastic benefit. And that's probably why it's so popular, because it really can approach and meet almost everybody's needs.
Is it something that people are looking for in a strength workout or a cardio workout? What type of
Many and all.
Okay.
I teach classes here at the city, of course, and I do a block or a round of TRX training movement. So I'll do a lower body, an upper body, and a core sequence. So 3 or 4 or maybe 5 exercises. And then I'll do a 3-minute aerobic bout. Sometimes it's anaerobic, meaning it's really high intensity, and sometimes it's aerobic, meaning that it's something you could sustain for long periods of time. But the bottom line is you're still getting that aerobic training in, keeping in mind that you don't have to work consistently to get the benefits of aerobic activity. You can break it up into intervals like that. So you can do that format, or you can do just a pure strength and endurance format where you just do a selection of exercises. And what I think a lot of people don't understand is because the stress or the load is your own body weight and gravity, I think in their mind they feel like, well, I can't get the same benefit that I would if I was lifting a weight. You are lifting a weight. It's called your body weight.
Right. And you are. I mean, it's definitely a strength training workout.
Absolutely. And when you add gravity, exponentially hard. So you can still get those benefits and range of motion. So soft tissues, so muscles and tendons and ligaments, get full ranges of motion, and that really lends itself to flexibility training, which is what a lot of people miss in particular.
Tell me a little bit about the core training aspect, because I know a lot of the exercises also engage the core, which we're all looking for that core training in our workouts.
Well, you know, as you know, most people probably realize this, but I think some people don't understand. The core is all the muscles except for the legs and the arms, for the most part. It's a real simple definition, but that's what that means. So as you just mentioned, we want to strengthen all the muscles that keep our spine erect, and we want to be able to laterally flex and forward flex and extend our spine without injury. So having strength in the core is so critical. And the fact that the suspension trainer requires you to engage your core no matter what exercise you do. You're almost always in plank pose, whether you're doing a standing or a sideline or a backline movement pattern. Plank is your standard movement. It's called a foundational movement. And because of that, you always are engaging the core. So no matter what exercise you do on the suspension trainer, you're going to be putting tension under the muscles or on the muscles that stabilize your core. So you can work core stabilization and core strength. And that is a wonderful benefit. There's not a lot of equipment that allows for that. Yeah.
That's great. Would you demonstrate? Show me
Well,
some
sure.
of the exercises that people would find in a regular TRX class?
Yep, and when you come to classes, a lot of times too, people get a little nervous about being able to use it because it's a little intimidating.
It
There's
is.
nothing obvious about this. You look at these black and yellow straps and think, what do I do with that?
Exactly.
So when you come to class, we'll teach you how to lengthen the straps, shorten the straps. Mid-length strap is about the length that most of the exercises are going to happen in.
Okay.
We'll show you how to put it into single handle mode.
Right. So the instructor will really be very good at explaining all the necessary basic issues that.
And you won't learn everything the first class, but you
Right.
will learn very quickly. So I don't want anybody to think, oh, I can't do that. That's not for me. It's too hard. It's too challenging. It's a process.
It is.
But it's not a long process. So just be patient with yourself.
The learning curve is pretty quick.
It's steep initially, but you get it. And
People pick it up.
So you want to try a squat?
I love to try a squat.
So your strap length is mid, and
Okay.
you're going to face your anchor point. And that's where the suspension trainer is attached to.
Okay.
So instructors will use that cue a lot. They'll tell you the strap length, they'll tell you where to place your body. You'll just walk back to create an angle, and you're going to set your hands up in this position right here. So your elbows are going to be underneath your shoulders, and then you'll stand about hip width apart. Now drop your tailbone to the floor, and then stand back up again. So what you do is you can use the straps to help you get up if you need to, or if you don't need the straps quite as much, you can loosely hang on to them and just let them guide you up. So somebody who may need a little more support can use it.
Right.
And somebody who does not need as much support, they're going to put more stress on the muscles of their body, but they're still going to perform the exercise.
Yeah,
So
there is a difference between when you really grip hard and pull
versus
as
when you
opposed
try to
just letting them
stand
guide
up.
you up. Yeah.
Yes, and you can do whatever's right for you. Now, the instructor should be able to say to you, Nancy, don't grip so hard, or, you know, why don't you use your straps a little bit more? And that's what I try to focus on. I try to honor people's ranges of motion and their fitness level, but I'm not going to let them get away with not challenging themselves.
Right, exactly.
So I have to really have a good eye about seeing what is right for him, what is right for her, because I want them to spend their time wisely.
Work at their level.
That's why these classes are, they're pretty short. They're 45 minutes. They're quick and dirty. You get a fantastic workout in a short period of time. Now go back to that squat. Let's talk about the knees. I get a lot of people, if you don't mind, just go ahead and drop down and up, that are a little bit nervous about, oh my knees, I can't bend my knees, they hurt. All you have to do is honor your body's range of motion. So if you can only do this because your knees are in pain,
then that's what you do.
That's what you do. And if you can do this pain-free, then that's what you do.
Drop down.
That's what you do.
As low as you
Exactly.
can.
You want to go through ranges of motion that are most like real life. And honestly, in real life, we bend our knees past 90 degrees.
We do.
So there's no real reason, unless it's painful, to not do that and to practice that skill. So when you get into an environment where you're doing it, you won't get hurt.
Right. Okay.
Do you want to try a couple more exercises?
Sure.
So that was a lower body exercise. I'll show you another one. This is called a step back lunge. So same cues, face your anchor point, mid-length straps. You're going to center your left foot and you're just going to step back on your right forefoot, and you literally just drop your hips down and then you step in and switch.
Okay.
And you just alternate. Now this seems like it's not a very hard move, but it's hard. Now, let's say you're here for 30 seconds and this is right for you, but maybe I want a little more. So we have 10 seconds left, and if I want to add this, I can.
Oh yes. That
And
would
you
definitely
can
be taking
just
it up a notch.
keep going at that level and finish.
Okay.
And I can get what I want from adding the level 1 plyo.
Yeah. How quickly that that starts the cardio system.
It really does. So that's kind of another way you can get some of that anaerobic or that cardiovascular training that people want
Okay.
in this workout. There are also exercises you can do for, like, let's see, your posterior kinetic chain, so your shoulders and your back. So this is called a wide deltoid fly. So just join me, lean back, and we're going to take like an offset foot position. You want to pull your belly in. Don't let your rib cage lead. And you literally pull your arms out like you're doing a Y. And then you fall back all in one unit. Keep going. Do you see what I meant by plank pose?
Yes.
So your ear, your shoulder, your hip, your knee, it's all
Everything
lined
is
up.
aligned.
So even though you're pulling yourself up with your shoulders and your back and your lats and your biceps, all these muscles are engaged.
Yes.
If you're doing it right.
Yeah, and you can see how people would want to lead.
They want to, yeah, they pop out their
Right,
rib
so
cage.
really staying aware of that plank-like position.
And that's why they come to our classes, because the instructors
And have
here,
the cues.
we know what to say.
Right.
To make it safe and effective for people. I know exactly what I should do. Now let's try some stuff on the ground. There's a
Okay.
couple exercises. I'll first have you put your heels in.
Okay.
So go ahead and adjust your straps
All the way
to
down?
like mid-calf length. Here at this facility, the way they're tied up, all the way down is probably going to be right. So you'll
Okay.
lie on your back, and you will grab the foot cradles, and then hold on to the foot cradles outside your knees. Yep. And then, actually, you know what, try this. Lie all the way down.
Long way down.
And now pull your knees into your chest. Now just drop your heels into those foot cradles.
Okay, gotcha.
Very elegant.
That is elegant.
That's very elegant. Okay, so you have a nice 90-degree angle at your knee, and you're going to do a hip press. So this is a glute exercise.
Okay.
So go ahead and you can have your palms face up or down on the ground, and your body's in a nice straight line, and you're literally just going to lift your hips up and down. Good. And the higher you get, the better, because you're recruiting more muscle fiber.
Yeah.
Now, this is a hard exercise, wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah,
It
definitely.
does not look hard,
Fire
but it
those
is.
hamstrings.
So I'm going to have you do the same thing, but scoot this way. So I
Okay.
want you to get in front of your anchor point. Now, because of the way, like, let's think about a pendulum, how it goes down and up, and
Right.
sometimes gravity pulls it down and sometimes it pulls away from gravity. Now you're using the part of gravity that's going to actually help you come up and down. So go ahead and lift up and down now. Isn't it a lot easier?
Yes, it's a lot easier.
Okay, so I can
Makes a
put
big
you
difference.
next to this guy or girl, and you can both do the same move, and if it's really a struggle for you to get through that 30 seconds, I'll just have you scoot up.
Right. Yeah, that makes.
So it makes it work for anybody. Okay, now you want to get prone. We're going to put our toes in, okay? So you can do a couple things. You can get on your knees and put your toes in, or you can just put your toes in the crossover method. So it's right into left and left into right. See how you sit there with your legs crossed? And then you just rotate around. Yeah, there you go. So now, if you want to be facing
Face.
that way, that
This
might
way?
be better. Yeah, turn that way. You're still going to be side to your anchor. You're still going to be in line with your anchor point,
Okay.
even though I turned you. So that's another thing too. I can work with you 360 degrees of motion. You're not
Yes.
limited to one range of motion. So now you're going to go ahead and go to your belly. I'm going to ask you to let your hands drop right underneath your shoulders and just lower yourself all the way down. Okay. Now we're going to contract before we lift up into plank. So I'm going to ask you to extend your knees, and that's going to engage your quads, and push your toes and heels back. Yes. Now pull your belly in really tight. Squeeze your shoulder blades down and back. Shove them into your back pockets. Now with your hands under your shoulders, rise up into plank pose. There you go. And then I would, if I had to, I don't have to, but I'd just cue you at your hips.
Right.
And there's plank. Now here's another exercise. I know you know this, so I'll just ask you to try it if you don't mind.
Okay.
Ready to go to plank again, and I want you to try a crunch. So just curl your spine and pull your knees into your chest and drop your head just a bit when you do that one. Yeah, very good. So that is a crunch. Try one more and rest. Okay, now we're going to try what's called an atomic push-up. So I want you to drop down and up into a push-up, and then pull your knees into your chest. Try one more. You can do it. Very good. Nice job. Struggle through and rest. So those are really hard.
Those are hard, but they're great exercises.
And here's the thing. People come to the classes and they think, oh man, I can't do that. You might not be able to your very first time, but you will learn how to do it,
Right.
because you'll specifically adapt to the demands that are posed on your body. You will learn how to do it.
And there are ways to modify that as coming down your
You go on your
forearms,
forearms,
etc.
which is kind of a little bit of a trick because on your forearms it seems like, oh, it's going to be easier. It's not easier. It's just
It's
different.
not easier. It's just different.
And it doesn't put as much stress on your wrist for
wrist,
people
right.
that might have those issues. So
So it's a really great piece of equipment people should incorporate in their fitness programs. We have a lot of classes here at Ames Parks Recreation, morning, noon, evening, weekend as well. So definitely want to check it out, and you can check out all our classes online at amesparkrec.org, or you can call our office. Call me with any questions at 239
call Nancy.
5353. Thank you so much for joining us
you're
today
so
and
welcome.
teaching about the suspension trainer. It's a really popular tool, I think.
It's very lightweight, very portable, and extremely effective.
Yes. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'm Nancy Shaw with Healthy Living. And remember, it's never too late to get fit.